Cermeño doesn't need to sell anyone. At now 41-4, he's a respected veteran. This 34-year-old Venezuelan is a former two-time world titleist at 122 pounds and once held a featherweight belt. 8 years ago, his unanimous decision over Wilfredo Vasquez would be followed by a string of 7 defenses. Ostensibly, that unbeaten run was to secure his position as a worthy world champ. But Freddie Norwood was Cermeño's personal spoiler. In a span of 13 months, Norwood took 2 wins from Cermeño, including his featherweight crown. Since then, Antonio's career has slowed down, but last August he got back on track in Florida with this steady and solid win over Marcos Padilla. For Joe Morales, fighting a world-class opponent, 3-time world titleist Antonio Cermeño, now 34 years old, the native of Miranda, Valenzuela, now calls Miami home. His 41-4 record split up into 3 distinct phases, 18-1 right into the rankings. Then he had that meaty career, winning belts at 122, 126. Now this, Teddy's tips for the former champ.
Number 1, use your height and your jab. Take the advantage of being tall by using long arms. And that means extending your left hand, keeping the shorter Morales outside. Then you want to spot up the right hand. If the first part of the fight plan goes right and you establish your jab, then there should be range and plenty of spots to land the right hand. And finally, if the right hand lands, make sure you finish with that left hook. Now, if you follow number 1 and 2, you've gained control, range, and you land in the right hand. It's time to close the show by coming back with the left hook and landing 2 punches instead of 1 with the tough Morales.
Joe Morales, he's been up against the best in the division before. This is the first time the 28-year-old gets to do it in his backyard. 18-7, just 4 knockouts. But most of his pro career has been making up for the fact that he had very little amateur experience. Teddy's tips for San Antonio's Joe.
Well, if Morales is going to beat the former world champion, former 2-division champ, double up the jab. Doubles, not singles. With Cermeño's height, you'll need 2 jabs to close the gap. 1 will leave you outside and vulnerable for the right hand. Making sure it's 2. And second, go to the body, go there early. Cermeño has a slender body. Start hitting him to slow him down later in the fight. But you must begin early. Don't wait for the stretch run. It'll be too late. Once inside, stay there. Don't pull back out. You've done that before, where you have to deal with his height all over again. Get in there and go to work.
10 rounds. Rafael Ramos, the ref.
Protect yourself the whole time. Protégete todo el tiempo. Right here. Okay. Aquí va a estar bien. Okay. This is a little bit high. Está muy alto los pantalones. Okay. So aquí va a estar bien. And you okay? Let's go. Let's do it. Good luck. Go blow. I got it.
Joe Morales says he's a hardcore, old-school San Antonio fighter. He goes by the nickname the Zarzamora Kid. That's the name of the rundown gym that Joe's been working out in for years. Run down before Tony Ayala and others came, fixed it up, and he stayed there through all the changes. He prides himself on being one of the guys that have seen them come and go in the San Antonio fight scene. Underway, scheduled for 10 rounds. These featherweights, the former champ against the hometown kid. Antonio Cermeño, or Cermeño, if you prefer the dialect. Teddy and I going with the American vernacular. And what has been commonly spoken here this week in San Antonio, Antonio Cermeño.
I don't know what the heck he's saying, but it sounds good. I'm with you.
As long as it's a good fight, it doesn't matter, Teddy.
No, it doesn't. To be a good fight, with Cermeño, the former 2-division world champion, starts with that jab. Look at his height. You don't need me to tell you that with that height, you're going to want to use that jab, that long left arm, control range, and then make the shorter man start to play your game. He stays outside, take him apart off that jab, set shots up off that jab, get full extension with the right hand. If he starts to come in, counter him, change your distance a little bit, keep those gaps in range, and make your opponent walk into traps. Any way you look at it, if you're Cermeño, it starts with that long, rangy left hand. And this hot weather can really play a part in this fight too. Even though both these fighters, Cermeño from Venezuela, Morales from this hot state of Texas, are used to that kind of warm environment, both these fighters took the fight on short notice. We will see who was in better shape. One of them was probably in the gym more so than the other. If this pace is fast enough, we'll find out as we go down the stretch.
Cermeño trying to target with that big, rangy left hand, set up that right. You know, you talk about, Teddy, the fact that both guys took it on short notice. Cermeño didn't seem phased at all. When his manager told him about the opportunity to fight on Friday Night Fights, he got real excited because he wanted to be on ESPN. And even though we told you he's got the title belts in the past, he has never had any exposure on American television. And he really wanted to come on to ESPN and have the chance of showing the American viewing public what he's capable of doing, as the inside work of Joe Morales scores with that right hand.
Morales has been using his legs, trying to keep the taller Cermeño off balance, not set to punch. Cermeño does have that height, but he needs to be set. He needs you right in front of him. He doesn't switch his legs. He doesn't adjust his legs real quickly. So you can see Morales, that's his style anyway, to box. He's trying to give angles, trying to surprise Cermeño, come in when he doesn't expect him.
Let's go. Let's go.
Friday Night Fights. Big night out in San Antonio from Sunset Station. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you. Our main event scheduled for 10 rounds. Former three-time champion Antonio Cermeño against local hometown favorite Joe Morales.
What's similar to the last fight for me is, I mentioned in the last fight early on that Adams had to work because of his style a lot harder, and that meant something in his heat than Rodriguez had to do. Rodriguez was set. He had the height. He could allow Adams to move into shots. Adams had to really use that ring and had to really work a lot harder to get things done. It's the same thing here. Morales working a lot harder to get things done than Cermeño. Rodriguez or Morales has to use the ring, moves around. He covers a lot more distance and space than Cermeño does. Just watch Morales. With an overhead shot, you get a good idea of the leg movement of Morales. He makes about 6-7 moves to set up what he initially really wants to do, what's going to really bring him there. Cermeño doesn't have to waste any of that kind of motion or energy.
Former champion Antonio Cermeño, he just looks really, really big for a featherweight, and he fights big, but at times there's an awkwardness to him that is a benefit. Targeting that left hand again. He had a useful jab in that first round, trying to score again here in the second round. If you're just joining us, earlier tonight, great action in our first fight between Jason Adams and Eric Rodriguez. At the start of this fight card, it was 100 degrees here in downtown San Antonio. It hasn't cooled off that much, and the heat looking to play a factor throughout the evening.
When you're tall like Cermeño, the former world champion, it's always important to use that jab. But when the style really, really forces you to, it's even more important. And this style really makes it important for Cermeño to use that jab. Otherwise, he's going to allow Morales to control the rhythm, to dart in and out, and to give him problems, like a mosquito at a barbecue would give you problems. He zips in, he zips out on you. Right now, the style of Morales giving Cermeño problems.
No punch, no punch. I got it. Hey, down. Let's go.
Round number 3 here in San Antonio between Antonio Cermeño and Joe Morales. Joe Morales hasn't fought since last August. Reason being, he had about 3 fights postponed this winter into the spring. Real happy to be back in action, especially here in his hometown of San Antonio.
Well, for that matter, Cermeño's been off the same amount of time. Both of them have been inactive for 9 months. That's even.
And both guys taking this fight on short notice. So who is working harder in the gym? We'll see as it moves on here. We're in round number 3, scheduled for 10.
This fight's going to come down to whose style is going to be used more consistently. Whose style is going to grab on. They're both distinct styles, different styles.
Betty, you like Joe Morales in the first 2 rounds here?
He's having his way a little bit. Keeping the tall Cermeño from dominating with his jab and keeping him from setting up that spear, the right hand. I think Cermeño better start going to the body a little bit. Slow down Morales a little bit. Take some of that ability to wander around the ring away from him. Flatten those tires. Two different styles here. Cermeño straight up. That real traditional boxing style, tall. Use that jab, try to set up the right hand. And Morales, like I said earlier, he can be like a gnat, in and out on you, buzz all over the place. But he's smart. He knows that he wants to keep Cermeño off balance. And that's why he's using the ring, keeping Cermeño moving his feet, not letting him get set. The thing that Morales has to really make sure that he has to cross his T's, dot his I's with, is that he gets all the way out where he makes Cermeño reach like that. Or he gets all the way in where he takes away the height advantage of Cermeño and doesn't allow Cermeño with those long arms to work inside. But he can't just stay at the end of the punches in that medium range. Morales must not stay in that no-man's zone at the end of the jab. All the way out, all the way in, off to the side. You know what? He'll be doing okay.
Working well here in the 3rd round. In the 3rd round, the connects through 3 rounds was another solid round for the local Joe Morales. 84 connects for Cermeño and 43 overall for Morales. Joe Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas, 4th round here from San Antonio.
You know, it's funny. I'm pointing out the advantages of the former world champion Cermeño. Tall, experience, long arms.
I got it. No.
But that can be turned into a disadvantage.
Time out.
When he doesn't get the height he wants.
You okay? Cuidado con la cabeza entrando, okay? Está bien.
There was a head.
Time in, let's go.
Banging the head there. The referee just taking a look, making sure everything's okay. But like I was saying, with the Cermeño, we look at the advantage of his height. But then you forget sometimes the disadvantage. If you don't stand at that height and cooperate with him, then you look at the disadvantages. He needs to be set on his feet. He's looking one way, only straight down the pipe, straight down the highway when you come at him. You give him angles, all of a sudden there's some warts of Cermeño. And Morales is trying to show those warts.
Well, you saw the jab numbers there through 3 rounds. Cermeño with the edge, not necessarily as effective on paper as it is shown up in the ring.
See, Cermeño, nice, great height. Just looks good. But when you don't stand at the end of him and allow him to pulverize you with that jab, sting you with that jab, freeze you with that jab, and then set up the right hand, and you're given movement the way Morales is given movement, in and out, side to side, all of a sudden that great height, well, doesn't do all that much for you.
Break! Let's go, no. Let's go. Viene, let's go.
A lot of people would say, well, Morales, shorter man, looks like he's physically stronger. He has to press forward. That's not his style. His style is to box. And even though he's in there with a taller guy, he's not feeling pressure to say, I got to work my way in and just be inside. That is not his forte. What he's trying to do is just keep Cermeño off balance. Use the ring a little bit. Sometimes let Cermeño give up his height. By moving backwards, make Cermeño come forward. Give up some of that height. Like there.
Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas. Antonio Cermeño and Joe Morales. Tight fight through 4 rounds. In that 4th round, these two fighters combined for 207 punches thrown. Morales threw 116.
Who says you just have to walk in like Henry Armstrong or Joe Frazier or Mike Tyson when you're in there with a shorter guy or a taller guy? The shorter guy, Morales, in there with the taller man, Cermeño, is boxing. Not doing it the conventional way, not walking right in, getting inside. And I think Cermeño is starting to realize he needs to slow down that kind of attempt from Morales. He's starting to get in close, bang the body with him. That experience of Cermeño, the former champ, is starting to show a little bit. Starting to get his range a little better, where he can start to tee up that right hand. Starting to try to get Morales to be at the end of the jab instead of all the way out or all the way in, or instead of on the sides.
Morales trying to sneak that right uppercut in. You know, Morales has been in with some bigger names before, and he claims that one of the reasons he thinks that he has come up on the short end is not so much because of the physical gifts and tools, but because of confidence, and the confidence that he lacks because he knows that the other guys have a bigger resume, bigger accomplishments.
Well, his confidence has to be pretty good, Morales, because even though over the career, Cermeño, the former 3-time world champion, has fought much better opposition, but recently, Morales has fought the better opposition.
Good right hand from Joe Morales. Local crowd looking for a reason to get behind him here.
No punch, let's go, fuera.
Rafael Ramos.
Okay, let's go.
Don't joust out there. Hold him back with that left hand. Halfway through the scheduled 10-rounder between Cermeño and Morales. Well, a few weeks ago in Norman, Oklahoma, his career. Teddy, what do you think of the future of Tony Ayala Jr.?
That's kind of almost a ridiculous question. He's 40 years old. He's shown that he cannot do what once looked like a very, very promising career. You don't get better when you're 40. He just got stopped in his last fight by a very gutsy Bonsante. But a guy who's not one of the top fighters. If he's going to make it in his career, now at this point, he'd have to go up there with the top echelon guys. He's shown that that part of his life is past him.
You agree with that, as most would. 6th round, Cermeño and Morales. Both guys took this fight on short notice. Both guys seem to be in good shape in this hot night in San Antonio. And for Joe Morales, that is a challenge because he works in a Mexican candy factory full time. Says it's very tempting when you're in training and trying to make weight to scoop up some of that sugar and get yourself a little sugar high, but obviously he's well disciplined.
Well, even though his style makes him work harder in the heat, he's only 28 years old. Cermeño's 34. And Cermeño comes from Venezuela. That trip added with the 2 facts of taking the fight on short notice and his heat. That can make a difference. And the style of Morales Well, it's not allowing Cermeño to shine with his style. Not allowing him to set up that right hand, not allowing him to use that jab. He just selects the spots that he wants to send down that laser right hand. Morales keeping him off balance, making Cermeño keep moving his feet. And when Cermeño has to move his feet, he can't use his height. See, that's where being tall, Joe, hurts. Great to be tall to use that height probably and you punch at the right distance. But if you allow the shorter man, in this case Morales, to get into your punching zone or his punching zone, and you're still standing tall, there's a lot of target to be found.
And Morales targeting that right hand, and he does it again.
There's target for that right hand because when he gets into distance, Cermeño, the tall man, the ball, that big flagpole, is standing out there like a flagpole. And it's easy to put a mark on it. That's where the tall guys have to learn. You're either taught or you're not taught. They have to learn. When the shorter guys gets into your position, don't be proud, don't be stubborn, don't be dumb. Get small. You don't want to be tall when a short guy gets in close to you. You want to get your head on the side. Be tall later on. Well, we're going to see here a replay from the last round about Cermeño standing a little tall and making himself a target for the right hand. You can see Cermeño working the left hand, stands tall, and Morales jumps into his range and able to find that right hand. Now we're going to get another angle on this. In this angle, once again, you see being tall, standing straight up. Well, there's a target for the right hand from Morales.
7th round, Joe Morales, a very game effort, sticking to his game plan. And so far, his hometown San Antonio crowd enjoying it.
Limpio, break. Let's go.
Over the top with another right hand, and he's got Cermeño hurt. Limpio. Break, no punches. Let's go. He got him with 2 right hands in the 6th round. In the first 30 seconds here of the 7th round, Joe Morales scores again.
The cut in the corner of the right eye, above the right eye of Morales. And that's why there's a break here. The referee's going to bring the doctor in to look at it.
Unintentional headbutt. Unintentional.
You heard Rafael Ramos, the referee, saying it was an unintentional headbutt.
Unintentional headbutt. You okay? Let's go. Time in.
Does not look bad. Right now, Morales turning southpaw.
Strategically, it's been a good night for trainer Tony Ayala Sr. and Joe Morales. Past 4 minutes of action has gone very well for them.
All night long, Cermeño has not been able to take full advantage of his style. He's been forced to give up his height, to walk forward. And he's got a little height. And once he got a little distance there, didn't take him long to do what he wants to do. Snap off a right hand. That's what he's trying to do all night long.
Time out. Time. Come here. Keep it clean, okay? Limpio, vamos, let's go. Okay, time in, let's go.
A little roughhousing by Morales, something we saw out of him when he fought Zahir Rahim. He threw Rahim to the canvas several times. In fact, was penalized late in that fight in the 10th round on his way to a loss.
And Morales turning southpaw a couple times this round. He's thinking in there. Keeping Cermeño off balance any way he can. See, now he's all the way inside those long arms. Get all the way inside. That's the trick. Get on the side. That's the trick. Get all the way outside. Don't stand in front.
I got it.
Cermeño just has not been able to use his style. He's been forced to try to find some other way to to change his fight. Walking in, giving up his height. He doesn't want to do that, but he's been forced to do that. And he's been kept off balance a lot tonight.
I got it. Hey, come on, guys, let's go.
Cermeño moving in and out, surprising. Or Morales surprising Cermeño in and out, and scoring good when he gets inside those long arms.
Well, damage done by both fighters in the 7th round. Joe Morales, they call him the Zarzamora Street Kid. The nickname from the gym that he works out in here in downtown San Antonio. Scheduled for 10 rounds. This is the 8th round between Morales and the former champion. Through 7 rounds, the punch stats, Morales has thrown 603, Cermeño 602.
I got it. No punch it. Let's go.
As we said earlier, Morales' confidence has been as good as it can be, probably getting ready for this important fight of his career. Even though Cermeño has been a three-time world champion, has fought the better fighters, as I said earlier, over his career. Recently, Morales has fought some real good fighters, or at least some good opponents. The records of the last 5 opponents for Morales, 88-7-4, compared to 80-51-13 for Cermeño. So Morales comes into this fight having been primed with good opposition. The timing was right, and his fight plan has been good. He's got a former world champion, wants to set him up, wants him to stand in front of him. Oh, he's got his threaded stare shoes on. And he's not gonna let Cermeño be a stand part.
And to your point, Teddy, I think there's a big difference between being in there with Casamayor and being in here with an aging Antonio Cermeño. He's seen some of the very best, and now it's starting to pay off in his career.
Let's go. Hey, come on. Let's go.
Here it is, the taller. You see how roles have been reversed. How when you come to a fight, you think you're going to get to fight your style. You know what you want to do. It doesn't always turn out that way. Cermeño thought he could stay at the end of his jab, set up that right hand. He's got to come forward. He's got to get inside. He's got those long arms. He's not great at using them inside. He'd rather use them on the outside. He's being forced to be the bull, not the matador. Some of these close rounds here, no real effective punching. So where do you go? That's going to be interesting. You go to the style of Morales, who's trying to do what he wants to do, keep Cermeño fighting his fight, or do you go with the aggression? Probably this round you go with the aggression of Cermeño. He's pressing the fight. He's making the fight, even though nothing real substantial is happening.
With you on Friday night fights. That 8th round for the former 3-time champion Antonio Cermeño, his busiest for the fight. He threw 98 punches and had a 29-10 connect edge against Joe Morales. 9th round scheduled for 10. Former champion featherweight against the hometown kid who's been in with some of the best and is still looking for that big break in his career, Joe Morales.
A little nervousness, I think, from Cermeño. And a little bit of alertness, probably, too, from Cermeño. He's thrown out that style, trying to stand on the outside using the jab. He's just coming forward now.
Punto por estar empujando. Punto.
And a point deduction.
Punto. Okay? Point.
This really hurt Cermeño
Limpio, mano. Limpio. Let's go.
in this fight. Because he was coming on a little bit down the stretch here, trying to impose his wills, trying to use pressure to break down the less experienced Morales, trying to capture the late rounds. He gets that point taken away at this point. That could turn out to be a huge moment. Especially at this point in the fight when he needs these rounds. At least we do. We think he does. See, now you might see a little panic with Cermeño, even though he's probably too experienced to panic. But now he's really walking in. And as he walks in, giving up that height, maybe now Morales can catch him with a counter, surprise shot. But you can see the change, Joe, the last few rounds. Cermeño no longer saying, I'm the taller guy, I'll just spot up Morales. Right now he's saying, I got to be the more determined guy. I got to be the more pressure guy. I have to walk forward. Change the fight.
So a -1 point deduction here in the 9th round for the former champ. He is no stranger to point deductions. Both his fights, his losses at the prime of his career to Freddie Norwood, he lost points on low blows in those decisions.
You got to remember, Cermeño not used to having the crutch. With his size, he's used to staying outside pot shot, setting up that right hand with the jab. He's not used to having to crutch forward. At 34, quick notice, slender body. He's starting to breathe a little heavy this round from having pressed forward so much the last 2 rounds. That's why he's starting to step forward. Look, he's going nowhere right now, Cermeño. He's not going forward. He's not doing anything right now. He's a little tired. Look at his mouth. Look at that breathing. It's up to Morales to take a little advantage of Cermeño slowing down here, to notice it, to get a little more aggressive. He's got a moment in front of him right here, Morales.
We'll see if Joe Morales can come up with a big win.
Bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see where that point, that very big point, might be a very big point, got taken away the last round by the referee. Right there, Cermeño pushing down at the same time as he pushes down behind the head of Morales. He tries to throw an uppercut that doesn't land. The referee, although there were no warnings for that earlier, although a little warning earlier for roughhousing, but not specifically for that, decides to take a point away, a big point, because that potentially could be a 10-8 round.
Could indeed. Could be a big advantage for San Antonio's Joe Morales. 10th and final round. The punch numbers through 9 rounds. Cermeño landing 237 to Morales' 177. However, the power connects. Morales has the edge, 104 to 97. Teddy's scorecard, it's not close. 88 to 82, although many of those rounds, Teddy, as you have said, could have gone either way.
Yes, many of those rounds, you could choose one element of boxing. You could say the pressure of Cermeño pressing forward, I give it to him. Or you could say the boxing of Morales, getting his way, making Cermeño come out of his trade, come out of his trait, come out of his style, forcing him to walk into shots, give up his height. Not a lot of real effective landing, not a lot of real effective punching yet. You can see Cermeño has been slowed down by the heat, the travel, the 34 years of age, to having to come out of his style a little bit and walk forward a lot more than he normally does. There's not a lot on his punches right now.
And taking the fight on short notice.
I think there's more left with Morales. The only thing with Morales is his temperament is cautious. I think the only thing holding him back is himself. If he lets it go and he stops being so cautious, I think there's opportunities for him to have a real good round.
And that plays right into the confidence factor that he's talked about. He said when he was in there with Casamayor, in there with Zahir Rahim, he was so impressed by the other guy, he didn't let it go. He wasn't confident.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I'm glad you bring that up. It's a real good point, because that's what I'm seeing from a trainer's perspective. I'm seeing right now the only thing missing with Morales is confidence. Nothing else. Not conditioning, not style. He's got the right style. He's shown that tonight to give Cermeño problems. He's got the right mind. He came in here willing and knowingly how to fight the right style. But right now, it's just a matter of putting the pedal to the metal. Confidence. But he's inside right now. Morales. He should be punching. He's inside those long arms. He should be really wailing away.
So a real close fight in our main event. Tough to see which way it went. Could that point deduction in the 9th round be the difference and get a win for the local guy, Joe Morales? We will find Cermeño and Joe Morales 263-199 edge for the former champ. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 97-92, but as Teddy admitted, a lot of those rounds could have gone either way. Let's get the official word from Tom Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a decision. We go to the cards. Judge Ray Hawkins scores the bout, 96-93. Judge Rick Crocker scores the bout, 97-92. And Judge Joel Elizondo scores the bout, 95-94. With a unanimous decision, your winner, Joe Morales.
Well, that is what Joe Morales has been looking for in his career. He's been in against Casamayor, Zahir Rahim. Finally, a breakthrough win against a former champ. Joe Morales moves to 19-7 and pleases the hometown crowd. Ryan and Max?
All right, Joe, an excellent point there, too, because he's going in with world-class competition against some very, very tough guys. Nice to see a guy like that get a decision.
Well, that's what I said at the top of the show. A live guy who, if you're not careful, upsets you.
This past weekend, let's get some highlights in here on Friday Night Fights. This past weekend, Panchito Bajado in the ring on the night before his 20th birthday.